रंग दो लाल नंद के लाल लाल शिरोनाई बस रंग दो लाल मोहे
Namaste everyone.
रंग दो
Today I'm going to be doing a short behind the scenes clip of one of my new songs, Mohe Rang Do Laal by Shreya Ghoshal ji. This comes in Bajira Mastani, but the version that I'm doing is her unplugged MTV video on YouTube. So my dad actually showed me this video first, and I loved the intricate details of it. Has a lot of classical background, which I really enjoyed in the song. So what I did is I'm going to explain a little bit about how I go about making a song today. So my first thing that I do is I set my own shruti. If I'm not able to sing in the pitch of the original song, I bring in my own pitch, what range I'm comfortable with, and I try and match the talam as well as I can to the original song. So this song I have done it at 65. The original song I believe was at 66.5 or something like that, but 65 fit really well for me. And I have sung this in A sharp, I believe. I think the original one was also in A sharp or B, something like that. So I'm going to dissect a little bit of the second part of this song because that's the part that I was very stuck with. I didn't have any ideas because the way they have done it sounded very good. But then when I tried replicating it, it didn't sound as good. So I came up with a bass note first. So let me play a little bit of the music and then I'll explain. So
मरोड़ी कलाई मोरी
okay, so that line, Marodi kalai mori, is when I listen to a song, I can hear the swaram of the song. So that makes it very easy for me to know what I'm trying to do, how to make harmonies with the notes, and all of that. So when I listen to this, I hear ni ni ri ga ga ri sa ni sa is the swaram of the line. So then what I did is I didn't have any ideas of how to make this background music for it. So I said, okay, my first note is ni, re, ga, ga, ri, sa, ni, sa. I end on sa. So I was like, okay, maybe I can just do ni, sa. So if you listen, one of my instruments, the bass, just does that. So that's all that was there. And then I was like, okay, this is plain, so why not give a little bit of movement to it? So what I did is I added the guitar, and the guitar is actually in the harmonic chords of this. So when you listen to it, it gives. So same thing, except now that it's a chord, you not only hear ni and sa, you also hear ga and ma. So when they come together, they make a fuller sound. And then I added a few other instruments after doing the next part because I got stuck with this and I was like, okay, so I have a bass line. So I moved on to the next part. And actually this next part idea came to me in the shower. I was thinking, I'm going from the flute to my vocals now. How can I bring about some rhythm? So my brother plays mridangam, and my first thought was, I can just hear his gumki coming down. Da 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 is what I wanted it to sound like because I'm holding that kalai mori. I hold that, right? So I was like, okay, there, if I give it, it'll sound nice. So I created my own tabla there, and then if you pay attention, you can hear the, and then the rhythm starts there. So that was like, I had that rhythm section done, and then I was like, this line repeats again. But now when it repeats, I hold the ha kalai mori ha kalai. So for those ha's, I was like, okay, so the first one I hold is ma, and then the next one I hold is ni. So again, I went with just those swarams, and I did. As you can see, I have a lot of different instruments going in different times. So that's what I'm trying to solo out, just those instruments for you to listen to. And then it comes together as a whole with the sound balanced and everything. So I believe it's right here. So that sounds odd, right? It goes ma, ma, ni, sa. Sounds a little odd. But my idea behind that is the dissonance of it. So it goes from such a beautiful melody into another beautiful melody, but then it hits that ma, which sounds kind of unpleasant to the ears, but more of like a different sound. So I was like, why not highlight that? So I made that ma to be very prominent, and then it goes to ni and sa. So over here, my next idea was, if I'm giving static chords here, the next part should have more movement. So let's listen to this one line once. So it repeats again, but this time the melody is a little different. So my idea here was to make it move a little. So the way I usually like to create that movement is by using the piano or the keyboard and just playing out notes. So again, here I got very stuck. I don't know why this second part just made me constantly think a lot. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to forget about the music. I left my laptop alone and I just went with the keyboard and I started playing around with different notes. So my first idea was to do saga sapa sapa saga sapa 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 niri nipa nipa niri nipa nipa nipa. But then that didn't fit in the talam. So now I brought it back. I recorded that one part and then I listened to it with my music and I was like, sounds good, but it doesn't sound right. So then what I did was I listened to the talam. So this is in a 1, 2, 3. In Carnatic music, that's Rupakam. So Marodi Kalai Mori Marodi. It's in a 3-beat cycle. So I was like, what I'm doing was in 5. It didn't fit fully. So I took off a couple parts of those notes, of the repetitions, and then I condensed it. So now what I'm left with is this. So that ending sounds odd, right? I actually did it differently so that it ends smoothly, but then that didn't sound right. Now, you might think it sounds odd right now when you listen to it alone, but let's listen to it with the music and then see how that feels. It ends right there, right? So this is kind of how I went about it, and then I understood that since there's so much movement here, I also need to have something static. So that balance is something that I always try and incorporate, is that if I have a plain chord, I also have something that's kind of moving. And if I have something that's moving a lot, then I have some kind of plain chord, just to give a foundation. So here I made the bass into just regular chords focused around the notes that I was playing around with. So this is just a little bit about how I go about making my own music, and I do this for every song that I've made so far. I start with just the notes and then I kind of go about on my own route after that. But usually I like to listen to the original song, see what the mood is there, how they create it, and try and replicate it. Obviously, I go about my own way. I'll start off with their chords, but then I will get an idea here, get an idea there, and then it'll become a whole new song. But I just wanted to explain this a little bit. I was explaining it to my parents, and I wanted to make sure that everyone understood a little bit about what I tried to create, and hopefully it makes sense and it helps you understand the song better and enjoy the song better. So now I want to talk a little bit about this wonderful artist I got to work with for this song. It's my first time working with another peer, another artist who is willing and wanting to do music like this. I'm going to talk about Nandita, the flute player for this song. So we had a wonderful time collaborating with each other, bouncing back ideas of how to make these notes sound like this, how to make different phrases based off of what Shreya Ghoshalji and her team had done. We kind of picked apart each of the flute swarams for each of those interludes or in between parts. Like for example, let me go to the beginning here. Okay, so I will actually do this harmony. This was one of my favorites. So initially we had only recorded my bass line vocal for this, and then Nandita was gonna come and play the flute line for this. But as we were recording the flute, we were like, why not create a harmony here? Because there's so many layers that can be done. So she actually recorded her bassline flute and then each of the harmonies. And I didn't have any intention of creating my own harmonies to her harmonies. But when I went back and I was editing the recordings, I was like, she's done such a good job of this. It's such a great idea. Why not incorporate it to my vocals as well? So here we gave a little bit of like a fuller sound using different notes to create this. So that one place, the there so sa sa da pa pa ma da pa ga ma ri is like the swaram of the line there. So then we took the half octave. I don't know how to explain that. The harmony of the sa sa da pa pa. So it's pa pa ga ri ri is like that octave. It's not an octave. It's half an octave lower, and it's the harmonic sound of like sa pa and then sa sa da pa pa ga is kind of the idea behind it. So we created different parts of the song has like different little pockets, but I had such a wonderful time working with her, and I'm very grateful to Flute Raman for introducing me to her, for my newfound friend. And I really hope to collaborate more with her and with other artists to create more music, because you get a different like idea flow. You get to think about new perspectives. Sometimes you get stuck in your own music, and then it's nice to listen to what someone else has to hear. So I really hope this session kind of helps you understand what I think, and maybe helps you understand what you listen to a little better as well. So yes, thank you everyone for listening, and I really enjoy all of your comments, and if you have any suggestions or thoughts, please do share them. Thank you.